Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to be filming this video today. Literally, I have not talked to you guys in 4 freaking months, and that is just absolutely so insane that I went on a complete hiatus for 4 months, and now I'm back and I finished nursing school. I graduated and I'm so excited to finally be chatting with you guys and talking to you guys about my journey, about going through nursing school, specifically the private route. If you guys are new here, my name is Bridget. I went to West Coast University and I completed a 2.5-year program to get my BSN in nursing, and I literally just finished my exit exam January 16th. So in this video, I'm going to talk about everything that has to do with West Coast. It's going to be a pretty lengthy video, but I feel like the videos that I have watched, although they're good, I feel like they're missing and lacking a lot of information, and I think that this video is going to be perfect for those who are prospective people who want to go into this program but are unsure on how the program works. I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty, talk about literally anything that I feel like is important, that stuff that I wish I would have known prior to coming into West Coast. So let's go ahead and get right into it. This video is going to be long enough, so let's go to question number 1, which is, I'm going to talk a little bit about myself just for those to get an idea about me if you haven't been following me or if you're new to my channel. This is just, or maybe you have been following me but probably forgot why did I end up choosing the private route. So it was actually my last option. I'm the worst test taker, and if you guys don't know, and you guys are probably looking to do a nursing program and haven't really done your research yet, all the community colleges and all the universities require a entrance exam. The entrance exam is called the ATITs exam, and you have to be very competitive. I don't remember what the passing score was, but I know that I did not meet it. And the thing is that don't make the same mistake that I did. The mistake that I did was I went to take the real exam and I used that as okay, let's see how the exam actually is. As a little practice round to get my foot in, to dip my feet in the water and just be like, okay, well, now I know how the exam is and now I know how to exactly study. Please don't do that. The first exam counts for literally everything. It doesn't matter how many times you take it, and if the third attempt you get 100%, all of these schools are going to look at your first attempt. They don't care about your second or your third. Your first attempt is what matters, and I think right now they're still on ATIT's version 7, and they're not going to change it for a very, very long time. And I made that mistake. I took it again, didn't pass. I took it the third time, and I didn't pass. At this point, I was very discouraged because I started making phone calls to different universities, Pasadena, ELAC, I started calling Long Beach. I called a lot of nursing programs that were community colleges, and I try to ask them, or I did ask them, hey, how does it work? What do I need in order to get into the nursing program or to be competitive and actually get in? Because if I live in California, and California, any nursing program is very, very compacted, it's very competitive, and you need to have amazing scores to even be looked at. If you guys don't get anything that's competitive, they'll flip the paper and move on to the next person, and that's just how it is. It's so crazy. And so I remember, I think I even filmed this, but I had called a lady from Pasadena, and the nursing program in Pasadena, and I was like, hey, can you please tell me how this program works? And what do I need? I already took the ATITs. Unfortunately, I didn't pass. I think by the third time, I think I did pass, and I didn't get a great score. I think I got in the low 70s. And so I had talked to the lady and I let her know that, and she was like, well, unfortunately, what we require with our school is that you take the exam directly with us. And what I did was I ended up going to one of their Proctor facilities, and I took it at a Proctor facility, and I had told her, I was like, oh, well, I took it at a Proctor facility, is that still an issue? And she was like, yeah. And also, we only accept the first attempt. After the first attempt, you can remediate with us. If you took the exam initially with us, you can remediate. take it again for your second attempt. But because in your situation, you didn't take it with us and you didn't pass the first time, unfortunately, like, there's no way that we can accept your application. And at this point, I started completely panicking. Like I mentioned, like, I filmed all of this on camera and I had a mental breakdown. I didn't know what to do with myself anymore. I'm like, well, that's it. Like, if Pasadena's not gonna, like, accept me, I kept calling different community colleges and they all basically told me the same thing. And that finally, I think the last lady who I ended up calling told me that in order for me to even do the TEAS exam again and even get looked at to get into a program for a community college, the whole version of the TEAS exam would need to change. And at this time, 2.5 years ago, they had just switched over from T6 to T7. So I was like, oh, and I don't even know how long the T6 was, like, active for, but I was like, there's no way that I'm gonna wait this long and wait for the version to transfer to TEAS 8 or something. I'm like, that's just way too long, and I'm not gonna do that to myself. And so at this point, I felt completely upset with myself. I wish I would have taken it more seriously. If you guys go back to my vlogs, like, I actually went back to my vlogs because I wanted to do more research on the things that I was going to share with you guys today. Even researching myself and being like, okay, well, how was I during that time? I was so bad. Like, I completely stopped working because I thought that I needed to stop working completely in order to study just for one exam. And mind you, I didn't study at all. Like, I would watch videos, but I wouldn't retain any information. And it was just, I honestly really do suck at taking exams. But I felt like in that time, I really wasn't trying. And I felt bad for myself. Like, I looked at those videos, I was like, wow, like, I cannot believe that I posted these videos, because they're actually kind of sad to me that I didn't try. And I would cry and I would complain and be like, I did my best, but in reality, like, now looking back into that situation, I really wasn't trying my best. I was just doing the bare minimum and saying that I was studying for X amount of hours, when really, in the reality, I wasn't retaining any information, because the way that I was studying, the methods that I was doing was not helpful to me at all. And I didn't learn how to actually study for myself until way later in nursing school, I think towards the end. And it took me that long. It took me a lot of different methods, and it took me finding different people in nursing school in order to help myself. So that's just the sad part about it, is that I really didn't try. I didn't have that go-getter mentality, and it didn't matter. So the way that I found out about West Coast was actually through my cousin. My cousin Maddie actually told me that a lot of the nurses that she works with went to West Coast, and she actually had a friend that just recently graduated, and so I was like, oh, okay, like, tell me more about West Coast. And I honestly put it off for a very long time. At this point in my life, I was working at a job. I was full-time. I was even working like 80 to 100 and something hours a week, because I was the only person in front desk. I would take charge of everything. Like, I was working a lot. And I worked at a facility where there was like practitioners and doctors and nurses. And so I ended up talking to one of the doctors that actually worked there, and I told her, I was like, hey, like, do you know about West Coast? And she was like, oh yeah, like, I know quite a few people who went to West Coast and they graduated. It's actually like a well-known school, but it is a private school. And I was like, oh, okay. Funny enough, that same day after I talked to her, I was like, okay, so this is like a reputable university. And so I ended up going on their website, and you submit your information, your phone number, your email, and all that stuff, and saying that you're interested in the program. And that's when I ended up talking to a financial aid advisor, and that is just a completely different conversation, and I'm not even going to go into it because I hated my financial advisor. She was not the best at all, not very communicative. Anytime I needed to call her, to talk to her, like, I would call her and it would go straight to voicemail. I ended up switching to a different advisor, but then I guess that advisor ended up leaving her job or quitting or got fired. I don't know. But they ended up putting me right back to that same advisor, and I just never talked to her. I was like, I am going to figure it out on my own. It's okay. But they end up calling you and they give you all the like numbers and the financial breakdown, but you also have to remember you need to include like, you also need to remember that this is a private school, and so I didn't expect it to be that expensive, and the initial number that they gave you is very, very high. I don't know how much it is now. I think at the time it was like at $145,000, and that is a lot of money. And I quickly got scared, and I was like, I can't pay this. This is way too expensive, and I don't want to. And I'm not gonna lie, like I spoke to my family about it, I spoke to my fiance about it, and I was like, this is the only option I have. I have no other options but to do this route. And I was at the very end of like my journey in nursing. I was like, it's either this or I have to switch over to a different career path. And I was like, maybe I can become a teacher, but I was like, I don't want to be a teacher. Like, being a nurse was all that I have ever known. All of my prerequisites are for nursing school, like to get into a nursing school. So that means I would have to go back and like change up a lot of my prerequisites and take more and do a bunch of other things. And I just was not interested. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. So I pulled out my first loan with Sallie Mae. That was the route that I ended up taking. I will talk about how much I ended up taking out in loans and what the total cost of West Coast was for me. I know it's different for a lot of people, but I'll talk about that at the very end. Just because I want to get into more information instead of throwing you guys a number, because I know for me that number scared me, and I stayed up day and night worried about, oh my god, this is so much money. How am I gonna pay this? But I'll get into that at the very end. I'm just gonna be talking about a few different things. That's basically how West Coast, the program works, is you talk to the financial aid advisor, and what I highly recommend is take your prerequisites at a community college. The reason why is because West Coast itself alone is super expensive. If you can go to the community college route and just take all your prereqs there, it's the exact same thing. I think there's only 2 classes that wouldn't transfer over. Definitely talk to your financial aid advisor at West Coast, because you will get one directly, and that'll be your financial aid advisor from literally the moment that you start till the time that you end. So definitely ask her and say, hey, what classes don't transfer over, even if this is something that you're looking for in like 6 months from now or a year from now. You want to ask those very important questions, because if some classes are not going to transfer over, I personally wouldn't take them, just because there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like for me, pathophysiology was one of those classes that would not transfer over. And if y'all remember, pathophysiology is one of those really hard classes, and it did not transfer over at all. Like they didn't care about the syllabus, they didn't care about like what the class entailed. It's just something that they did not transfer over. So I highly recommend asking before doing, because I know they switched it up and now more classes don't transfer over. So just go ahead and ask your financial aid advisor and see. That way you're not taking double the classes. So yeah, I did end up, like I mentioned, I did 2 semesters or 2 terms prior to getting into the actual nursing core program. And by the way, West Coast University is an accelerated program. So instead of getting your nursing degree for a BSN in 4 years, you're getting it around 2.5 years. And to me, that is very fast. And instead of semesters, we do terms. Each term, for example, you're to be taking pathophysiology. You're to be taking pathophysiology for 10 weeks. So each term is 10 weeks, which is a very short amount of time, because technically week 10 is for you to make up anything that you need to make up. For example, if you missed any classes or time for your clinicals, you will be making that up Tuesday of week 10. It's always on a Tuesday of week 10. So it is a lot. It is super fast, it's super accelerated, and I think that that scared me at first, I will say, but I'm definitely one of those people that love to procrastinate, and if I can procrastinate, I will do it. So I felt like this program really kept me on my toes, and I was like, okay, well, I don't have any time. Like, if I don't do this now, I'm not getting it done, because you have so much homework, so many things to do, so many stuff to study for, weekly exams, and it's a lot. It is very overwhelming, and it is a very rigorous program, and it is something that will take up 100% of your time. I lost time with my family, I lost time with my fiance, I lost my mental health sometimes. It was very, very stressful, but is 100% doable, and I think that any nursing program is going to be like that regardless, but it being accelerated makes it a little bit more difficult than a regular nursing program. So basically, that's how West Coast works. They do it in terms. There's no breaks in between, none, like for spring break, nothing. You do get some holidays off, and the only holidays you have off are basically 2 weeks in December for Christmas and New Year's, and then I think just like 1 week for Thanksgiving, and that's pretty much all the breaks that you get. You're working throughout the entire year, every single day. No breaks whatsoever. What were my biggest struggles? So I feel like I kind of mentioned it. The biggest struggle is definitely the fact that it's such a fast-paced program. So procrastinating was never a thing that you were able to do. I definitely found time where I was like, I don't want to do anything. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. Like, I'm not a robot. Nobody's a robot. Nobody's gonna be working 24/7. Like, it is absolutely impossible. And yes, you will 100% get tired. I got tired a lot of the time, and I definitely took time to procrastinate and be like, okay, like, I really don't want to do this right now. I'm super lazy. I don't want to study right now. I don't want to do my homework right now. And maybe I did put it off for a day or two, but I definitely had to get around and do it. Another thing for me is I am a very poor test taker, and in nursing school, all you're ever gonna do is take exams, weekly exams. And when I tell you guys, there were so many times where I would get such low scores. I think for medical surgical, I don't remember if I was vlogging during the time. I'm pretty sure I did, but during week 2, like, this is how much it traumatized me, because I think this was like the real core classes, and I was like, okay, it's Med-Surg 1. This is hard. During week 2, we learned about GI, and on that exam, I got a 63% on that exam. That was the worst exam that I've ever had, and I was struggling in Med-Surg. I think all of Med-Surg, I struggled. Thankfully, I passed because I spoke up. I spoke to the teacher. I would meet with her for meeting hours. I would tell her like what I was struggling with. I would meet with her in person. I would go to PALS. If you guys don't know what PALS is, it's one of the pros that I actually have written down for West Coast, where if you're struggling in a class, they have this peer like program where somebody who previously took that class, or maybe that professor, they can give you tips, or they can help you understand something that you feel like you're struggling with. And a lot of the time it's just like a regular student just like you, so you don't have to feel like uncomfortable to ask questions or feel like, oh my god, like this person can't relate. They 100% can, because they probably just took that class but passed with like an A. So you definitely want to ask those people like, hey, like, how did you do it? Like, do you have any advice and all that stuff? So I definitely did all of those things, and I actually isolated myself from my friends a lot through nursing school. I'm one of those people that if I'm doing bad, I physically remove myself because I want to work on me. And I met a lot of friends throughout nursing school, and I definitely have my core friends now. But I remember during that term, I had one specific friend who was not for me. I would study with her, and I would ask her a million questions in regards to, like, let's say cystic fibrosis, and I would ask her a million questions about cystic fibrosis, and then I would wait for my turn for her to ask me questions, and it would never come. Or maybe she would ask me one or two, and they would go back on her. So definitely be careful on the people who you meet. If you feel like you're struggling in something, definitely don't isolate yourself. But don't be afraid to ask for help. I would ask for help for my friend. I felt comfortable asking for help. I would go to PALS. I would go meet with my, professors and stuff like that. Reach out. Make it known that you were struggling. If you don't make it known and you're struggling in silence, no one is going to help you. The professor is not going to help you. At the end of the day, this is coming out of your pocket. You're paying for nursing school. So you need to put yourself out there and be like, I am struggling. Please help me. And I promise you the professors will be more than happy to help you. And if they don't, you can find other routes and other people like PALS, for example. But every single time I was struggling in a class, there was never one professor that turned me away and was like, well, I've helped you with everything that I can. I'm so sorry. Like, there's nothing else that I can do for you. No, there was always something that they would be able to share with me and help me with. They are the professionals. Like, they've been doing this for years. So please ask for help. And from day one, like, I always asked for help because I was more afraid of failing and having to repay a bunch of money to take that same term over again than asking for help. And I'm a very shy person when it comes to asking for help. But at this point in time, I was like, there's no shame in my game. Like, if I'm failing, if I'm not doing good, if I'm getting D's, then, like, I need help. Please help me. So don't be afraid. So I already answered this question. What I recommend those who are struggling, like I said, ask for help, raise your hand. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Make friends, have a study group. Make sure that the people that you find in your study group are for you and are also trying to help you. A lot of the times nursing students can be very, very selfish. And it's okay. Some students are going to be like that. And of course, who wouldn't be selfish when you're paying upwards of $100,000 for nursing school? Yeah, I'm going to be a little bit selfish because I want to make sure that I'm doing good. But also, it's good to find genuine people in the nursing program. But there are going to be some people who are very selfish and me oriented. And just stay clear of those people. Don't pay mind to them. At the end of the day, this is your journey, and there are going to be people out there that are going to be like that, but you will find genuine people and genuine friends. And don't be like, oh, there's something wrong with me. There is nothing wrong with you. It's just, this is how the nursing program is. It's just some students don't care. I know that a couple terms behind us, like I heard that term was not like a very helpful term. They kept things very much to themselves. They didn't care to help others. And it's just some programs, some terms are like that. What are the benefits of going to West Coast? So this is a very exciting question for me because I feel like a lot of the time people pay attention to that number. Like, no, I'm not going to pay that. I do not want to go there. But the reason why I left that price tag to the very end is because I want to talk about the pros that West Coast has to offer. And there's actually a lot of more pros than I have cons. For example, one of the things that I mentioned was PALS. It's completely free for you to go meet with somebody. Your professors, because it's a smaller school, smaller classes, you have more accessibility to talk to your professors and they're not overwhelmed by the amount of students that they have. Another thing is that you have counselors that you can talk to. Another thing that I really enjoy is the fact that throughout the entire program, they're doing a lot of hand-holding, and I'm one of those people that definitely need hand-holding, and I think that because it's such a rigorous program, they definitely need to do that to help you stay and keep on track. I'm not gonna lie, you also need to do your part and keep yourself on track. Make sure you're doing everything that you're supposed to. Buy your calendar. Buy something in your room that's huge. That way you remind yourself, my homework is due this day, my test is due this day, I have to study this, I have to do this, the project is due here. Like, you want to keep yourself on track as well, but make sure, like, if you're struggling, like, there is always help. And I really enjoy that of West Coast, where I feel like other places like a regular community college or a regular university, maybe they don't have those types of programs. Now that I'm out of nursing school, they're still helping me. There is this program that we're doing right now called VADI, which I'll talk about a little bit more in depth later in this video. And we have a wonderful lady who's helping us get through NCLEX and making sure that we pass our first try, and we have our own you know, specific instructor where the instructor helps us remediate on anything that we're possibly lacking in, and really catering to our any deficiencies that we are having in a specific subject. And I feel like I haven't heard any other school, community college, or university do that, and West Coast really wants their students to succeed. And that's something that I definitely felt like my experience changed now that I'm at the very end. I feel like in the very beginning, like, you have so much hatred towards that school because you're like, oh my god, I hate this school, like, they're putting me through all this, they're so mean, I hate, like, the sign up process of, like, signing up for classes, because, like, it is so stressful. Let me tell you, signing up for classes is, like, the most stressful thing. The clinical process is also a very stressful thing, and it's like, like, you're just angry. Like, I was so angry during nursing school because of how much stress and pressure I put over myself. So now that I'm at the end of it, I'm like, oh, okay, like, they're still helping me. Even 2 weeks after I finished nursing school, I'm still here. They're still answering my emails. They're still talking to me. They're still communicating. They're helping me all the way through the NCLEX portion. They're doing their part. Now you just have to do yours. So if you're not participating in VADI, then they can't help you. So that's a little pros list that I have, is that they very much handhold and they're very much for their students because they also want to succeed. It's a private school and they want to make sure that they look good for other people to join. And they're not just going to be like, come and join, pay $145,000, come join. And then their students their school has a very, very low pass rate, NCLEX rate, all that stuff. No one's gonna want to join, so they make sure that they help you to ensure that you actually pass, so more students sign up so they get more money. That's the whole thing about West Coast, is that they're gonna be for you, but they also are for themselves, so it's a little cycle. What are the cons? So I mentioned it a little bit. Signing up for classes is a con for me because not only are you signing up, but everybody in the same cohort as you, ours was like 200 and something students. All of those 200 and something students are trying to sign up for the exact same classes as you are. And mind you, there's only like maybe 2 to 3 or 4 max different professors for that same subject. And there are going to be professors where they're like, oh, they're not a good professor. Like they have a very low, they have a lot of students who didn't pass last term, this and this and that. And obviously you're going to stay clear from those professors because you hear and you get advice from the terms previous. Also, there's Rate My Professor, and you're gonna see my Rate My Professor and see who is the better, who has the better rating for you to, you know, go into their class, because you want to give yourself the benefit of the doubt. You want to give yourself a higher chance for you to pass a class. And so, yeah, it would suck. The website would be lagging. It would be super slow. Also clinical is another thing that really, really sucks. I don't know if I mentioned this, but, during my fundamentals term, I got into a car crash on the freeway. Thankfully, it wasn't a bad, car crash, and I was actually gonna go to a, like, clinical thing. And clinical hours are mandatory. If you miss a minute, you make up the minute. And instructors are very, very strict when it comes to that. Some of them, maybe they'll let you get away with it, but you know, you have to stick to the hour, to the minute, honey, to the seconds. It doesn't matter, because every hour, every minute counts towards your hours that you need in order to graduate, which I think is like 760. Maybe more. I don't even remember how much you need anyways, but it's definitely a lot. And if you, going back to my car crash, so it's very important that you make up and do all your hours. But I got into a car crash. I always leave my house super early, and so I still had about maybe 10 to 15 minutes left before my thing started, and I get into this car crash. It's fine, I'm okay. You have to get a statement, or like the thing that the police give you, in order to use it as proof on why you were late, because it has to be an approved or an excused absence, and that would be up to the discretion of the person who takes care of that. And so thankfully, obviously, I got all the paperwork that I needed. But because I got into a car crash, I actually was thinking about not going. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go. I have so much more time. Like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm fine. I'm alive. I can walk. I can breathe. Like, am I just going to go home? No, like, I'm already dressed to go. I'm like 10 minutes away. I ended up driving. And I think I was late probably 6 or 7 minutes. And because I got into a car accident and it was still an excused absence, I still had to go to week 10 on a Tuesday and drive from my house all the way to school to make up 7 minutes. And that's a con that I was like, that is insane. But like I said, everything counts towards your hours that you need in order to graduate for the BRN. So yeah, that's a con. What things I would do differently? I think that throughout nursing school, I was definitely tired a lot of the time, and I would struggle a lot, and I would focus a lot on my friendships with the people in West Coast. And like I mentioned, I had one friend who was not a very good friend to me. And I kept going back and forth with her. It was definitely like a toxic relationship, because I feel like there was a lot of benefits to being her friend. I really enjoyed talking to her. We were very close. We're kind of similar in the way that we like to talk on the phone a lot. We like to be on FaceTime. We like to share our life and like do all this stuff. But when it came to school and the way that she managed her life and the way that she managed her life would sometimes affect me. And let me share. So we used to work together. I don't work anymore, by the way, guys. I ended up quitting my job right before the integrations term started, because I felt like I needed to give it my all, and I was very worried that I was not going to pass, because I'm a very poor test taker, and the exit exam very much scared me. And I'll talk about that, like I said, a little bit more into the video, because that's towards the end. So I used to work with her, and I would need people to like pick up my shift, and she would offer to pick up my shift, and then she would stop and be like, hey, I can't pick up your shift anymore. I have this going on. I'm like, girl, like, why would you offer then if magically all of a sudden you have something to do? Same thing that I mentioned, like we would study together, and she would focus very much on herself and on to me. But the moral of the story is, I wish I didn't focus on so much negative things that has to do with friendships and try to force things with friends at nursing school. I wish I focused a little bit more on my actual studies. I mean, obviously I still graduated, I still passed, but I wish I would have focused and gave more of myself into nursing school. But even now, being outside, I'm like, girl, who cares? Like, I did it, I got out, it's okay. I'm happy now. Like, I don't have to worry about that anymore. I don't have to worry about those weekly exams and like all that stuff. So yeah, I feel like that's probably the only thing that I would do differently, is not be so hard on myself and stop focusing on the things that I don't need to focus on. So how does integrations work? So this integrations is the last term of nursing school. It is a very, very tough term. You can definitely work during the term. But for example, myself, I felt like I could not work during this last term because I was already overwhelmed, very, very overwhelmed during critical care, because critical care is a very hard class. And it was just a very hard class. I was also going through a lot during that term as well, because I was getting, I had an issue with a clinical instructor that it actually got pretty bad. I ended up needing to talk to the dean, and after I talked to the dean, they actually switched me clinicals like halfway through my clinical term, and I went to completely different clinical site, completely different clinical instructor, and it was probably one of the hardest things that I went through nursing school, because nursing school on its own, it's already a really, really hard program. And on top of having a professor who is racially profiling you, talking bad about you behind your back to other clinical, to your clinical group, as well as a whole other clinical class, it is absolutely insane the things that this guy did. And I won't talk about it because it already gone and happened, and the school took care of it. He's still working there, but at the end of the day, like, his record is still there. He previously got suspended for the exact same thing he did to me to a different student. I don't think he got suspended after I reported him, because obviously he's still there and I would still see him, and it was definitely awkward whenever we would see each other in person. But that's something that the school can deal with. I dealt with it. I already went through it and I moved on. So critical care was a very tough term for me. And I had to do a lot of extra things in order to switch over. So it was very overwhelming, to say the least. And so going into integrations, I was like, you know what, I just feel like I need to let something go in my personal life. And at that moment, I was like, I just need to stop working. I feel like if I stop working, I can really focus and give my integrations my all. I'm not gonna lie, I became extremely lazy sometimes, but that's okay, because like I said, it is a very tough program, and integrations, you're at the end. It's already been 2.5 years of pushing and grinding and giving it your all throughout all these 2.5 years, right? And you're at the tail end of the program. Like, you're gonna be tired. Like, there is no ifs, ands, or buts. You're gonna be tired. And I was just so exhausted. I was tired. So I was very happy that I ended up quitting my job. But now that I'm done with integrations and done with nursing school, I'm like, girl, what do I do with my life? But it's okay. Find a job and do NCLEX. That's what I need to do with my life. So I ended up quitting my job. So integrations, the way that it works, this is a very, very long explanation. So if you need a pause, go get your water, go get your coffee, go get some tea, go get a snack, because it's a long explanation, and I'll try to shorten it as much as I possibly can. So integrations, you're gonna start with this program. Everything is on ATI. It's to be capstone. Now, this is how the Orange campus did it. It can be different for other campuses, but I hear that they pretty much try to do the same thing. So you're going to be working on capstone. Capstone is basically, you're going to be going over everything from the very beginning of the core of nursing school. You're going to have a program where you're going to sign on, and you can review like these little sheets of paper, or not sheets of paper, these little, you go on this website, and the first thing that you'll click is the fundamentals module, if that's what you're starting week 1. There is I don't know how many, there's fundamental, pharmacology, med search, OB, peds, leadership, and mental health. There's 7 different little categories. Each week you're going to be working on something. So on one of these columns. So week 1 is fundamentals, obviously. You're going to open up the fundamentals tab, and there's going to be a little section where you can review quickly like important things about fundamentals, like Miles' laws of hierarchy, the ABCs, the how to like turn a patient, how to like all those basic things about nursing school, like about being a nurse. That's going to be fundamentals. You're going to read that and go over it. Then you're going to take a pre-assessment. The pre-assessment, you don't have to be on lockdown. You can just be taking this in your room. People can be in your room. No cheating, obviously. But it's basically to see like where you are and where you're struggling with. After you take that exam, it's going to tell you your score. So what your score needs to be is a 70%. If you don't get that 70%, you get below a 70%, you're going to have to do additional remediation. And the additional remediation is going to be based on what it is. So if it's fundamentals or whatever, they're going to make you do like 100 questions on basic care and comfort. You're going to have to click on basic care and comfort, and you're going to have to do 100 questions on dynamic quizzes. And on top of that, on top of the 100 questions on dynamic, on top of the 100 basic care and comfort questions on dynamic quizzes, you're going to have to do 100 board vital questions in fundamentals. And so it's a lot. So you're going to be doing 200 questions on top of doing your modules. And mind you, board vitals are mandatory. You have to do, even though whether or not you get the 70% or not. But the additional regular dynamic questions, those are either if you don't get the 70% and above. So after the pre-assessment, you're gonna have to do that, and I highly recommend still do it anyways if you get like a lower score, because it's only gonna help you, it's only gonna benefit you. Yes, it's a lot more work that you have to do, but it's gonna be beneficial to you, not to anybody else but to you. Now if you know you struggle in med-surg or pharmacology, definitely do those extra questions regardless. So in the pre-assessment, you'll finish that, you'll get your score, do whatever you have to do. Then you get the actual assessment where now you're gonna be on lockdown browser. You have to be in a quiet area, no phones, nobody in your room, private area, and they will be able to see you, they will be able to hear you. You're gonna have to get a 360 of your room and show them your floor, your desk, making sure that they know that you're not cheating in any way possible. The questions are either 50 to 60 questions per assessment. After the assessment's done, you have to do remediation. So the remediation is basically you'll sit in the remediation center. Like after you take an ATI quiz, there's like a little review tab. You click on review and it'll show you all the questions, not the questions, but it'll show you the areas that you got wrong. So let's say you got like a question of Maslow's of hierarchy wrong. You're gonna be able to click on that tab and you're gonna be able to review like what it is and like how you can defer or whatever. To be honest, I never found the review section helpful, but you would basically be in there for about an hour. You complete that remediation, then you're gonna do the post-assessment. The post-assessment is, I don't know how many questions, but I think the least that I've ever had was like 10 questions in the post-review. And that's also mandatory. After that, it's going to lead you to another area where you're going to have to type. It's going to give you a little prompt. It's going to ask you questions and you're going to have to type. They want very specific, like college level writing. But to be honest, like just keep it basic. Don't do anything extravagant. I think the most that they want, the least that you can write in there is about 3 sentences. So I would literally just do the bare minimum and answer the question, and I would literally just reword the question and answer it. But obviously make it like all cohesive and stuff. So that's what I would do. After that, the instructor is gonna say, okay, you completed everything, you're done. Then you move on to the next section, which is pharmacology, and you do it all over again. That is the capstone portion. Then you move on, I think week 5, you're going to do a pharmacology proctored exam. I failed it. I got a level 1. And at this point, I was very nervous. I was very scared. Any proctored exams that you guys are taking, please take it serious because they look at your pulse score. I have an 89% on a pulse score, and what they want to see is a 99, which is insane. Who's gonna have a 99% pulse? I mean, a lot of people did, but I was at an 89, and my professor scared me because he was like, oh, like if you don't have like a 99 on your pulse, then you're more at risk to fail the NCLEX, or the exit exam, I mean. And that scared me. I was like, no, this is not. But there were some proctors where I did not study, I did not care for it. Like leadership was one of those. I was like, girl, I'm not studying for this. Like, who cares about leadership? That all counts towards your pulse score. So just putting it out there. Make sure you take your proctor seriously. But anyways, I got a level 1 for the pharmacology proctored, and I didn't do good. And I met with my professor, and he gave me the best advice. Shout out to Professor Kaluuya. He's literally the best integrations instructor ever at Orange. Anyways, so he was like, you gotta study. You gotta do all of the dynamic quizzes, all 404 questions, in order to do good, in order to pass. Because there's gonna be a lot of questions about pharm on the exit exam. The exit exam is about 180 questions, and you have to pass the exit exam in order to pass nursing school. You only get 3 attempts keep this in mind. You only get 3 attempts. If you don't pass within those 3 attempts, they kick you out of the program. You don't get your degree, and all that money is wasted. You can definitely try to do some remediation, or talk to the dean and see if maybe they can accept you back into nursing school, and explain like, you know, I'm gonna do this different, I'm gonna do that different. And I don't know what the requirements are, but just keep that in mind. So I was very scared, and I took integrations very, very seriously. And I didn't know about the exit exam until pharmacology, until my pharmacology instructor told me that there was an exit exam. I had no idea. No one ever mentioned it to me at any point prior to signing up to West Coast. So that was definitely news for me, guys. I had no idea. And if you guys didn't either, well, here's your little PSA. So that's basically how integrations work, and you do that all over again, but with VADI. VADI is a program that they use to help prep you for the NCLEX, and this is how you're going to get green light. So you basically do that, all those same steps all over again, and then you're going to be doing a pre-assessment, and your goal is to get a 72% and a 65% and above in all SEP categories, but they mainly want to see a 72%. If you get a 72% on the exam, on the actual assessment, then you have a 92% chance of actually passing the NCLEX on your first try. They'll pay if you still participate in that if you do participate in that program, which I highly recommend you guys to do it, because the statistics of people passing on their first try when they're not doing the VADI program is a lot lower. And it's already incorporated, like you're already forced to do it anyways, like at the first like 3 modules, so might as well like stick to it and actually finish it, because it's gonna help you. Like, it's not like you're gonna, either way, it's not like you can take the NCLEX right away after you like graduate. You have to wait like about 2 weeks in order for the BRN to accept you and basically say you're eligible to take your NCLEX. So might as well just continue the program and finish it within those 2 weeks in order for you, by the time you get the approval to go take the NCLEX, you'll get green light, right? So I took mine, I passed. So I'm hoping that next week, hopefully next Friday, I take my NCLEX. I'm hoping to pass my first try. We will see. But basically that's where I am at now. So now we're going to talk about the cost of the program. Now that I completely made an hour-long video, I don't know how much I'm going to edit down of this video because it's a lot of information, but I think it's all important information. I am ending up paying a little bit less than $100,000. That's basically my debt of nursing school. And my personal opinion, I know people are going to ask, would you recommend it now that you're out of it? Would you do it all over again? And my answer is yes. The reason why is because I could have gone the traditional route. Let's say I would have gone the traditional route. I would still be in school currently, because a regular program to get a BSN is 4 years long. I'm done. I don't have to go to school for another 1.5 years longer. And I don't have to worry about it. Yes, I'm in debt, and I'm not worried about it because who isn't in debt? Like, literally everybody in the world is in debt. If you really think about it, some people be taking out cars that are worth $100,000, and the second that car gets off that lot, their car devalues, but your degree will never devalue. A nurse is always needed, and no matter where you are, a nurse is always needed. Please say it louder for the people in the back that want to judge the fact that I paid $100,000. It's my money. I can do whatever I want with it. And that's basically how much I ended up paying. Yes, I took out, I don't even know how much money in student loans, but I don't regret it. I will be paying it off. Hopefully I finish paying it off within like 2 years or so. Maybe a little bit longer, but that is my goal. And yeah, that's basically it, you guys. I recommend it if you guys are interested in doing nursing and you want to get your nursing degree faster than somebody traditionally would. I have no regrets. The only regret that I have is that I didn't do it sooner. I'm 25 years old now, graduated, barely gonna start my career. And maybe some of you guys are like, girl, like you're still really, really young, but I know people that are 21 years old and finished and are starting to be a nurse or are already a nurse. And it's just like, dang, like I wish I would have known about West Coast a little bit sooner, because I would have done it sooner. But you know, everything always happens for a reason. God always puts me in a position where I need to be exactly where I need to be every single time. Like there is no doubt in my mind that like I'm exactly where I need to be in my life right now. But anyways, let me know down below if you guys have any questions. I try to answer as much as I possibly could, like of things that I wish I would have known, information that I wish I would have had prior to going into nursing school. Not that it probably would have changed my, you know, opinion or option or whatever it is. So yeah, let me know down below if you guys have any questions, or you guys can email me or send me a message on Instagram. I'll be more than happy to share and answer with you guys more information about West Coast. But bye guys, I really hope you guys, I'll see you guys next time, and yeah.